Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time.
As always, we would like to thank our feral venerator of Soirein, Lurks, as well as our other lovely patrons on Patreon. We'd also like to thank Travis for all the lovely work he does transcripting, and to Kevin for his lovely promo videos.
What is transcripting? Is that a word?
It is now.
Transcribing.
It's English.
I thought I was the one that hadn't woken up yet. I just woke up from a nap, so I'm not even out here, but at least I know what words are, maybe.
Apparently Matt was ready to go like 2 hours ago.
That's true.
I was
napping.
And then I read The Two Towers, so I was knee-deep in The Two Towers, which is why my wording is off now. Blame Tolkien.
Is that... Oh, okay, Tolkien. I thought that was like a porn I hadn't seen before.
Ooh, it probably is.
The Two Towers, yeah.
It sounds romantic and intimate.
So, as everyone knows, I have been around. I've been around for a very long time. And before Twitter of Time, there were other ways that you discussed the fandom and the Wheel of Time with people. Before Twitter even existed, before social media, I sent messenger pigeons to my friends. And by messenger pigeons, I mean forums and IRC chat rooms and MSN Messenger. And AIM.
Yeah.
Oh, AIM. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about what it's like to be an old bitch in the fandom. And I brought along a young bitch who is somehow only like 20 years old and yet has been in the fandom as long as I have. Kitty Rallo. Hi, Kitty.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
You sound so enthusiastic, Matt.
Oh no.
It's the Two Towers again. He's just thinking about those dueling towers.
Look, I just finished all the Helm's Deep stuff, so cut me some slack.
Yeah, no. You just finished Helm's Deep, so we have to be kind to you?
Yes.
No.
My emotions.
Oh my. Okay. So yes, we're going to talk about like what it's been like or what it was like growing up in the early days of the Wheel of Time fandom. Some of you might be familiar with the idea of Theoryland. We're not quite that old. For that, you need to go to like Mad Hatch. But he founded Theoryland. Like that's his thing. But we are from the days of like early days of Dragonmount and Tarvalon.net, and there are some other sites on there, but those are the only ones that I can remember right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about like what it was like in the early mid 2000s growing up in the Wheel of Time fandom and, you know, what we did and how it affected us as adults, because I still have trauma and it's important to talk about.
Meanwhile, Matt and I have only been in the fandom for like a few years, so we're just here to listen and to sometimes ask questions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like the most outrageous way to start this episode and to just like dive right in.
How old were you?
How old was I? I was 14.
Okay, that's not bad.
Actual child.
Actual child. How old were you when you joined, Kitty?
18. So, legal adult.
I mean, you were allowed to join as a minor. You were allowed to join...
I joined my first fandom at 13, so...
I mean, that's what you did in the early 2000s. I don't know if people remembered, but you just went on websites and found out, like, communities, and then...
Yeah, smartphones were not smart.
Smartphones were not smart. I played Snake.
Oh, I remember Snake.
Yeah. We're old.
No.
I don't think I was ever part of a fandom, like, before Twitter, because, like, I would enjoy stuff with people, but, like, in the mid-2000s, I would, like, go onto MuggleNet for news and stuff like that.
Right.
But I never really interacted heavily with other fans of, like, Harry Potter or Percy Jackson or...
I wonder, like, we don't need to explain what forums are, do we?
No. The kids can figure it out. They can Google. They can use their research. They can ask ChatGPT to tell them how to think.
Oh my god, someone's feeling spicy today. So a forum is like a message board, and you just posted messages, and then they would just be there forever, and people would read them, and there would be threads and topics that you talked about, and different forums to talk about different things. And really, it was just like a lovely little community.
It's called Reddit.
There were also...
Yeah, like Reddit-ish. Like the forums, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like sometimes Discord looks more like a forum than Reddit does. But I never liked Reddit. I never got into it.
I never got into Reddit either.
Same.
I can't do Discord.
Oh.
I am the outlier.
I would say that IRC chat rooms are kind of like Discord in the sense that they're real-time chats. Whereas with Reddit, it's not really real-time because you can't exactly see like who's online. Well, you can, but...
Who's typing?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you couldn't see like who was online, who was there to respond in real time with you on a forum. Like on a forum, you might have people respond 12 hours later to a conversation because they lived on the other side of the world. That's just how it worked. Whereas IRC chat rooms, it was very much real time.
IRC chat was kind of like, like Facebook Messenger chat right now.
Yeah, with like groups.
But yeah, you could have groups, which you can also, but like it was only on your computer.
Mm.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the differentiation. Like cell phones were not a communication platform.
You could not do an IRC chat on your phone because it was like it needed to run JavaScript and your phone could not run JavaScript. That's how old I am. But yes, it was an amazing time. I want to talk a little bit about like how this was when the books were still coming out.
Yes.
Kitty, do you remember what it was like when the books were still coming out and a new book dropped and everybody lost their fucking mind?
Yes, I remember waiting at Barnes and Noble, like you would wait for Black Friday.
Right.
Because there would be a midnight release, and I would go with my two roommates who also grew up in the fandom, and we would just wait, and we'd get it, and we would all start reading, and we all had, like no spoilers because we all read at different paces, and it was like Christmas. It was absolutely crazy. I think I came into the fandom a little later. I had never even heard of the Wheel of Time before. I joined the online community before I even read book one.
Kind of same. I started reading the first book and I hopped into Tarvalon.net's IRC chat room and I was like, yeah, I'm like 3 chapters in, let's go.
You joined the chat first?
I joined the chat first.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. Just 14, like, hello, internet.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, internet. Please, here's my address.
I'm a 14-year-old boy.
Please help.
I mean, mine wasn't much better. The best friend from Tarvalon.net, she kept telling me I was a green, and I had no idea what she was talking about because I never read the books. But she's like, hey, I want to go to this live event across the country, and I want you to go with me in case I get murdered. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. So I joined so that at least we'd have each other.
And remind us that it's at a time where, like, you don't have Google Map on your phone. You don't have a lot of communication. So it's like going to an event and literally, like, nobody knows what's going on.
No, you had to print out maps on MapQuest.
Yes. And then for this, like, you had to, like, somebody who was higher up in the tower had to call you and, like, vet you to make sure you were not an axe murderer. Which that's, I always trust people on the phone.
Yeah, there was a verification procedure just to make sure that, hey, have you been made real?
That's it, made real. I've been real for years.
Because, again, like, you had, like, this was before, like, webcams were, like, readily available. You could not see each other. You had to send in a picture of yourself to verify, like, this is who you were, and then you had to have a conversation on the phone with like, an administrator.
If you were going to go to a live event.
Yes. Because people needed to be sure you weren't, like, pretending to be, like, a 19-year-old girl and actually be, like, a 60-year-old man.
Which, back then.
Which happens.
Was a lot easier back then.
It was a lot easier back then. God, it's so hard to pretend to be a 19-year-old girl these days.
I know, tell me about it.
And I think I do remember my first real-life event. I was still living with my grandmother. I had just turned 18. It was in Washington, so that's why I wanted to go. But it was like an hour and a half south. It was Miller, Sylvania, Washington. I don't think you were there.
No. What was it? Was it Annie or Fall Ball?
It was Annie. So Tarvalon.net had typically had 2 events every year. They had one in the spring called Annie Party, which is like anniversary, like about when it was founded. And then one in the fall called Fall Ball because it's very creative and it rhymes.
Rhymes are fun.
Rhyming is super fun. The Annie party was typically the bigger one. And I remember going there and just, my grandmother was just like, okay, have fun.
Bring some cookies.
Like, just like drop me off at a campsite with a bunch of strangers. And I hadn't met anyone in real life yet. So I was just like, hi, I'm this person. This is me. Because we had pseudonyms. Because it was a fantasy website. And so obviously
it wasn't full role playing, but we still went through the steps of being raised. We also had fake names that had to be okayed, like, you know, for Randland.
that had to sound fantasy-y. And
Yes.
What were your names?
my name was Jeffan, Jeffan.
I'm Kataya.
Jeffon.
Are you one of the people that's gonna like make fun of me for not saying Jeffin?
No, I'm just saying that is...
I like Javon.
Jeffon is a hilariously butch-sounding name.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, people called me Jeffy for like ever.
I had to break that habit because you hated it.
I do hate it.
And I knew you as Jeffy because you were also like, because I was such an adult when you joined this, like, ugh, he's a child.
Jeffy Poo.
Yeah.
That was a literal thing that I have been called
Jeffy Weffy.
for a very long Yeah, I've been called every iteration of like Jeffy Poo, Jeffy Weffy. Didn't care for that.
Yeah, you didn't think of nicknames when you got that name.
Yeah, I did not. I was just like, Jeff. That sounds butch.
I am Butch.
Jeffon is gonna be a heterosexual man.
Well, you have to realize I also had a last name. It was Caliarthan. And I liked it because it sounded like more, like it sounded Corinian, and I loved Moraine. So I was like, yes.
Okay, say your name all together.
Jeffon Caliarthan.
Oh, yeah. You're not straight.
Jeffon Kelly Arthan. He gets all the girls. He smashes that puss every Friday night.
Smashes the pussy.
Well, I'm Kataya Silviania.
That's pretty.
Oh, thanks. That sounds like a bad girl in like, WoW.
I mean, it was my first WoW name. Okay, so my warder and I, when we bonded, he was still stationed overseas.
First of all, you have to explain what that means.
Okay, what, a warder?
Well, no, what that means in our terms. Because I don't think they understand, like, these children these days, they don't have to fill out an application for a warder.
Oh my god, it wasn't even just an application. You also had to go through counseling with the Greys to make sure you were a match.
Whoa, you really were diving deep into the lore.
I hadn't even finished the series at this. I mean, the series wasn't even done. No, okay. So my first tower party, my first live event, was not the original one we were supposed to go to, but we went to the next one, which was, I think, a fall ball. It was in Vegas. So Pi and I flew to Vegas.
And you were not yet 21.
No, I was not. And we get there. I think it was like the second or the third. Like it was still early. I think it was the second fall ball. And this is where I met Matt, who is my warder. He still is to this day. But he was literally 4 hours out of Marine boot camp. And we used to do some things that we would never do now as an official event, like the Dock of All auction.
Oh, no. No.
Yes.
The what?
So what?
It was a fundraiser.
Yeah.
You could bid to have people who had volunteered to do small tasks for you for the rest of the day. That sounded nice, right?
That sounded much better than it was a slave auction.
That's what we called it.
Oh.
I mean...
Okay. Wow.
But it was for charity.
It was for charity, and we...
Thousands of dollars were raised.
We did it right after. We used to also have a Sasara competition.
Oh, yeah, Sasara.
So it was, like, not full on, like, strippy, but, like, kind of like sexy dancing competition.
Yeah, like belly dancing.
Yeah, like belly dancing. So I did it. I won. Matt was a dumb 18-year-old straight out of boot camp. So, of course, he's like, I want that. So he bought me.
And you've been friends ever since.
Well, we dated for 2 years. We are
Ooh.
god-awful as a couple. I mean, when I met him, he was very much like, I'm going to be married at 22 and have 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. And I was like, I'm a heathen.
That was very much your vibe way back when.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I was fucking wild. Oh, wait, are we? Can I freaking?
Cursing's fine.
Okay.
We literally said, like, Jeffon Caliarthan gets all the pussy.
Yeah, but that's not technically a swear word. That is a...
Oh, okay. That is a thing that you don't have any rights over.
I don't have rights over that either, but that's fine. Yay, America. But yes, so he and I started talking, and then he got stationed in Japan. So we started playing World of Warcraft together because we could talk through Ventrilo, because this is before you could have communication easily.
Yep.
So yeah, those were our tower names, were also our WoW names.
That is intense. But yeah, no, so you joined, this was before it had departments.
I joined in 02.
Yeah, I joined in 2005, early 2005. So before it pretended that it was a little bit more real, each of the Ajas got jobs. So like the Greys had to make sure you were okay to bond. The Reds made sure that, were the Reds in charge of like signatures?
I feel like something like that, yes.
So this was in forums where you had like signatures and they had to be certain pixel sizes.
Oh my God, it was so, like, they got militant over it.
And it was a trip. It was a trip. I'm trying to remember what any of the other ones were.
I think the Greens, I think we had to sleep around, so I did my part.
Yeah, you really did your part.
I was known as the Tower de Flower for a while. So taught a lot of boys a lot of things, so you're welcome, ladies.
But yeah, no, it was a very, I'm trying to remember. So
it was partial roleplay, but like not.
It was I am and I like, and so there was this weird thing where people felt like you had to earn the title, and people did take RP, like
there was a test.
There was a test. So there was 2 tests. The first test to be raised from, was it?
I think it's novice to accepted.
Novice to accepted. You had to pass a test about the books.
Yes.
And then accepted to Aes Sedai, you had to pass a test about like tower procedures and something like.
You had to do an active service for the tower.
Oh yeah, you had to volunteer. You had to do some kind of something.
You had to do like an accepted project, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, like that's fine. Like that seems relatively normal. It's just like any other like SCA or something. It's any kind of like just community building.
But building the community online, that's why it was definitely interesting.
Yes.
Because most of the people didn't do the real life things.
Right. And I think one of the like pitfalls of Tarvalon.net is that it didn't quite realize that who you are online does not translate to who you are in real life most of the time.
Yeah.
Because you had these people that had a very specific persona online, and then the second you got them in real life, they were the exact opposite of that. And I mean, that's just what it was like being weird on the internet in the early 2000s. But
it was so much easier to hide because there's none of this face to face. There is nobody. There's no like
yeah.
You can fact check them on Instagram or on Facebook. Like it's what you put out there was the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like people did not share their socials because socials didn't exist. I've literally like Twitter was founded in 2006. I've been in this fandom since 2005. It's bizarre to think about like how far it's come and how like readily information is available now. Because if I wanted to know something back then about the books, there wasn't a wiki. I had to go get the book.
Or see, and that's why like the Tower did create the library, and that is still one of the biggest online Wheel of Time libraries. That's correct.
Yes. Yeah, the Wheel of Time library, or the Tarvalon.net library is a huge undertaking, and it is pretty amazing. Maria used it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's so interesting that it did become integral. Like, these communities still got brought in because the books were still being written.
Yeah, like there were times, like Tarvalon.net was mentioned in the back of like the paperback versions, along with Dragonmount and Theoryland.
Yeah, and there's people from the Tower that are characters in the books now.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to... So, I don't want to talk about Dock of All anymore, because
it's done. It's been done. They ended that...
Yeah. Well, they ended that after...
10th?
No.
10th had happened. I know, because I got bought.
It was in Colorado. Well, because they tried to do this thing where it was like, okay, you can't buy people. You can buy specific services that they perform.
Like, they would be the one to bring you drinks the rest of the day, or like...
Or this person would knit you something.
That's right.
So, James, what services did you sell?
I was not nearly as confident as I was now.
That's you and I. So this is so our backstory is we never really connected at the beginning.
No, we never really connected because I was a 14-year-old child.
He was a brat.
He was a
Fucking brat.
I was a bitch.
Really?
Give us all the things. This is the time. This is the time for it.
Please go ahead.
It's interesting because I don't have like specific instances. And unfortunately, if somebody is known as something in a friend group, they'll tell other people. And then even if you don't really know the person or talk to them, you're like, oh, I don't want to. He's
Right.
like, so I don't think there was like, I mean, obviously there's going to be factions in any group, but like, I was never like, ugh, fuck Jeffy.
In this group, there were literal factions.
It did get dramatic, and I tried to stay out of it. Actually, I think I did good. I don't know if you did. I don't think you did.
I did okay. But it wasn't great. Yeah, I don't know. I was a pretty shitty kid.
Yeah.
Like, I was a very dramatic, attention-seeking kid.
Dramatic? Attention-seeking? I don't see where that's coming from.
You're shocked, right? Absolutely surprised.
Yeah, really?
Whoa.
I mean, to this day, I still have more volunteer hours than anybody else at the tower, and I haven't been there in 5 years, so they can all fuck off.
But see, you are still that, but you have tempered it and you've grown from it. So now you're a much better version of it.
Yes.
Like, I was also not the nicest person. I still am not, but like...
Yeah, you were kind of a cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll own it.
Yeah, like, we were not good people.
No. And we are still the same, but we've gotten better.
Yeah.
That's called growth.
Yeah, weird, right?
We know how to unleash that part of ourselves when necessary. It's just so very not necessary anytime.
No, it's not.
But yeah, there's no reason to like go flying off the handle because someone said something stupid. Like, that is not worth my time. Back then it was worth my time because I didn't have adult problems.
I still don't even, I'm like, I don't even know, how did I travel for these parties?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, how did I spend thousands of dollars?
Well, I mean, the Vegas trip, we didn't have a hotel the last night. So we're like, we're just going to stay up all night on the strip. And security woke us up on an outdoor bench and made us move.
So you were ladies of the night?
Yeah, Pi and I.
You and Pi?
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
So going back to the forum and the community a little bit, in the early days, men weren't allowed to, how do I say this? In the books, men couldn't become Aes Sedai. So therefore, until like 2017, men could not become Aes Sedai at the tower.
It was very gendered because the books are gendered.
Yes.
For that timeline of where they are in Randland. And only the women got to be raised. And did the site start with the Gaidane?
No. So it was like the first year or so afterwards, they had to become, like, the men just existed. They couldn't join any kind of organization or whatever. And then they created companies, which are kind of like Ajas, and they all had their own identity, but they're completely made up. There's no like lore to back them up or anything.
They did try to go with like Old Tongue and try to figure that out. It wasn't just, but
yeah.
So yeah, there was companies and Ajas, and then the men got to be able to move up from, what was it like?
Recruit to soldier to Gaidine.
That's right. That's it.
Because I had to go through it because I was a boy.
Yeah.
But you were a butch boy, Jafon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Jafon Keliarthan, Gaidine of Sandama Shadar.
Oh yeah, you're SDS.
Means Slayers of the Shadow.
Slayers,
yeah. But yeah, there were so many weird things back then. What was the... Oh my god, it completely escapes me. So it eventually became like a 501c7 organization.
It took a while, I remember, but then I remember they had major issues because when you choose officers, that suddenly it becomes a real thing and real money is being handled. It's a lot of trust. Switching over from just like a fan-made thing to an official, like, this is legal now.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I feel like I remember from my forum time that everything was so dramatic, but that's probably because I was just young, and I'm kind of wondering whether it's also something that was feeling like everything was overboard.
Everything was dramatic because it was the early there were several forums. Like, there was a forum called, like, Frivolous Fun or something.
Oh, yeah.
And you just posted, like, words that start with the next letter of the alphabet or whatever, and that are on theme. And even that got...
Like, this is before memes. Like, we had nothing to send each other, so, like...
Oh, yeah. This was, like, the Hinder stream. Imagine the Hinder stream on Twitter, but in forums.
Oh, God. At least you can, like, dip out of the forum.
You can, but you got, like, notifications that, like, unless you unsubscribed.
I don't even think they had that. I don't think they had notifications and subscribing. That was like easy boards.
Oh, yeah. That was hard.
I learned basic coding so I could get like specific responses that I wanted for myself. I'm like, God, I did not know I was this nerdy.
Yeah, I learned BB code.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want my signature to be this exact hue of teal.
And then they had, seriously, the signatures were just so, like, they had to be very specific.
Yes.
And you couldn't put certain things in it. Like, yes, it was definitely interesting.
I feel like we need to talk a little bit more about real life events and kind of like what they were like.
Yes.
So yes, you flew out to hang out with a bunch of nerds on the internet.
Yes.
100 of them.
Yes.
That flew from all over the country, all over the world, to go to these events. They typically lasted over a weekend. You had one night where there was like any party anyway. There was like one night where it was like kind of a party type of thing. Was it?
It was usually, so the anniversary party was more formal than the fall ball.
Right.
I think. So the anniversary party was like, they'd always have the one night where like the Almerlin would, like it was official events. They would have like a feast. And I mean, this is before anybody had any like gluten-free or...
No, gluten-free and vegans did not exist then.
No, they didn't. There was no food allergies either.
No.
Back when America was America.
Exactly.
Ew. Ew.
We were all big butch boys.
We were all Jaffons.
Yes. No, but it was interesting. So it was like there's an official, you got to see raisings. There was...
Yeah, so there were like scripts for these things. Like people got raised and you had to say these exact words in this exact way, and people were called forward in front of everyone to be like, Jaffon Kaliarthan, do you pledge yourself to the tower to defend blah, 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 blah.
And they used the actual oaths from the books.
It was so weird.
They still do it.
It was...
Really?
I was at JordanCon this year. They did do a live raising. It's not as like formal, but it's still like, blah, 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 you've been called forward. Choose your company. Here's your oaths.
I liken it to SCA because if you've been to any kind of SCA events, those are kind of similar. They take it seriously, but they also know it's kind of a show, or it's make-believe. But it is, looking at it now, it was weird. And I'm not judging.
You know, it's interesting. I don't find it weird considering it is at least based on this book series that's fake. Yes, it's a cult, but everything's a cult if you think about it.
Right.
And I don't think for like the being raised part, none of the oaths are like, I swear to be a good person and always vote for this. It's basically like, you know, like I will protect you from shadow spawn. So like nothing that's actually
right.
I don't have an issue with the oaths. I did have not quite an issue, but so we also did first sibling ceremonies. And
yeah,
that one got interesting.
Like how?
Not naked.
Some people did it naked.
Excuse?
They did, but they did them separate.
Yeah, no, those were not public.
Not the public ones. The public ones, but they did use the words they make you, because I did it. You had to like fill out the entire, like, what's the best thing about your sister? What's the worst thing about your sister? And you had to choose each your mothers. And like, we hit each other as hard as we could in front of everyone.
So this sounds very healthy.
Yeah, I think it's great. I love it. I gave her a black eye because I just don't slap people often. So I like, instead of like flat, it was like karate chop. That's fine. Everything's fine.
I'm so glad I didn't join this era of the fandom. I'm like 4, maybe 5 years into the fandom, and that's.
Can you imagine if people went out slapping each other these days?
There'd be Twitter threads about it.
I haven't even been to a live event. Since pre-pandemic.
Right. Wait. Yeah.
And even that probably 15th.
Yeah.
And I guess JordanCon counts, but I mean, I'm at JordanCon for different reasons.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last event I went to. I'm at my library page.
So these events still continue. We still have a fall ball and an anniversary party, though they have switched them because the anniversary people started So the tower, like these forums are not what they used to be because now there's so many different outlets. And so what we grew up with is a timeline that would not happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting. And I have lifelong friends. I have like Matt, my warder. I just went to his wedding in November. Like we've been together for 18 and a half years or 8.5.
Yeah.
But it's like my absolute best friends in my life are from the tower. And I do know them in
Right.
real life. I lived with them, like made my sister join the tower. It's very absolutely crazy that this book series that is not in my top 10 became such an integral part of my life because of these real life events, because of these people.
Mhm.
And had it been 10 years later for when I joined, it would not have been the same.
Yeah.
It's really like there's a lot that know that you're thinking about that. And you wouldn't want to do that again, like right now.
You lived on your computer.
But it's like so many memories of that, so many things that like shaped you that you cannot just throw all of that to the bin. So much of it mattered.
No.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. So I think the best example I can give of like what I have learned, what I've gotten from these communities is I can pretty much go anywhere and know someone there. I like when I I just stayed on some person's couch for like a week after one of the parties just because I could hang out.
Yeah, there are couches all over the world that we are welcome to.
Pretty much. Like, I'm still Facebook friends with most of these people, and like I keep up with them.
Same.
Like, it's not like it's like, and they've known me for 20 years, which is intense. But it's just I still see these people. I still talk to these people like very regularly.
Well, it's getting to this weird point of we were so integral in this that we did get these relationships that you build online. I'm not going to say they're deeper than nowadays, but because there was nothing else, you did get more.
Right. You literally didn't have a distraction. Like you went to school or whatever, and then you came here and you talked to all your friends, and that's it.
And because of that, I've got people, I haven't even talked to them in 5-6 years. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it's still like, for example, unfortunately, we are now getting to the timeline where people are dying.
Yeah.
And like, that's been, we recently had a tower death that hit me pretty hard. And I was like, oh my God, like, because she was such an integral part of my early journey in the tower, it's going to be interesting over the next 20 years of like, wait a minute. Because you and I were part of the younger groups. There were older people.
Oh, yeah.
You might have been actually the youngest because I think you couldn't join at 13. It had to be 14.
Yes. Yeah, you weren't allowed to join at 14, and I had to wait until like the minimum age requirements for like to advance to the various steps or whatever.
Yes, you couldn't even be raised until you were
16 or 17, yeah.
The higher forums like the Aes Sedai and the Gaidin are, I think, have to be 18 plus.
Yes. Yes. It was so weird.
It's such an interesting, because it was still, yes, we verified people for real life, but we didn't have to verify anybody for those who weren't going. And so there was a decent amount of creepers that still around.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think, like, what is your weirdest tower memory?
Weirdest?
Like, do you have any weird ones or just like completely bizarre ones? Were you at the one where the campsite flooded?
No, and I'm so grateful that I was not there.
Yeah, I've heard tale of one where the campsite that they were at, like just flooded.
They're in Wisconsin, I think. The Dells.
No, it wasn't at the Wisconsin Dells. I was at that one. There was alcohol poisoning at that one.
That's right. I remember because the camp I've never done. So they've done different like campsites, but usually like YMCA, it's cabins, like full heat, water, flushing toilets. Like, but then there's been a couple others where it's actual like tent camping. And I never did any of the tent camping ones.
Yeah, I didn't either. Estes Park in Colorado is my favorite.
Yes, that's also been the other issue.
What's your favorite?
Estes Park in Colorado.
Estes Park. Estes Park.
Fuck if I know.
The location of the Stanley Hotel where...
The Shining.
The Shining, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there.
We've all been there because they've done numerous parties there because it's one of the only fair places to go because it's in the middle of the country.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous.
It's stunning.
Estes.
Look, Jafon says Estes.
Well, Javon has privilege. It doesn't have to have anything right.
Jafon has issues.
It's hilarious because Matt and James are saying the same word, and to me it sounds exactly the same, but Matt is apparently very strict about how it should be pronounced, and I'm sorry, I hear it the same way.
It's Estes versus Estes. James is saying
okay.
Estes, and Estes as in testes, and I'm saying Estes, which does not rhyme with testes.
Well, Jafon needs things to start with testes and rhyme with it.
This is very true. I should have thought that through.
Yeah.
I will say, like, Kitty, when I first started dating my husband, we decided it would be really smart to, like, go on a week-long trip to LA. And
yeah.
I was like, hey, Kitty, could we just stay on your couch for a week? And yeah, we could.
But it worked out perfectly. So the guy I was dating, who, like, I mean, I'm now married to as well. Weird, right?
We don't talk about that.
We work nights. And so they were already gone by the time we got up, because we get up at 10. Like, it was perfect timing. Like, we didn't even see each other.
We barely saw you.
I'm like, hi, here's the key. And it's a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, there's no, like, the couch turns into a decent queen. But yeah, that's what you did. You stayed with a week. My cats loved you guys.
Yeah. Oh, here, I found a picture of us.
Oh.
Let me share my screen. It's a picture mostly of you. Because,
when is this?
Not concerning at all?
No.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, James, that hair. Good God.
Oh, yeah, no, I dyed my hair. It was very red.
This was 10th Annie.
This was 10th Annie. This was 2012. Yep.
This is when we actually got to go to Robert Jordan's house.
Yeah. We went to Robert Jordan's house because that is a thing that we got to do as members of Tarvalon.net for that party.
We got to sit in the chair that he wrote The Wheel of Time in. We got to see his office. We got to see, like, he had a ton of figurines that were like anime style with these huge boobies and like barely any clothing. And it's like, okay, now I get it.
Mm-hmm. They were, yeah.
It was interesting. We've gotten some amazing opportunities because of being a part of this community.
Yeah, like this stuff is on my resume. Well, parts of it are on my resume.
Specific parts on your resume, yes.
Yes.
But I've got an interesting correlation that speaking of live events, it's interesting seeing how the tower has evolved, or like live events in general have evolved versus when we started going to them versus to where we go now. Like when we first started going, there was no sexual harassment policy. There was no,
I'm not saying it wasn't needed, but I'm saying.
No, it was needed. But like there was nobody knew how to either consent or not consent or to talk about boundaries or to anything. And then I remember it progressing over the years. Oh, yeah.
See, there's Kitty.
Yep.
There's Alina.
Yep. Oh, man.
Melissa, Rachel. Yeah.
We went in the same... We were cool. We just weren't...
We were...
Like,
cool?
Actual friends, which I hope we are now.
Yeah. No, we are.
Yeah.
This was a very terrible picture of me, and I hate it, but it is me next to Maria, and this is when Maria and I, after this, we had like a 4-hour-long conversation.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, look, Tom.
Yeah, Tom and Linda.
I don't know Linda.
I have no idea who those people are.
Linda from 13th Depository.
I'm just smiling and nodding.
I know, it's interesting. Like, it's like a couple years go by, and now suddenly when you check in and you get your badge, you could choose a sticker of green meant you're okay with hugging. Like orange meant ask first, and red was like, don't touch me. So like then there was visual cues. So, and then now we've got, I'm just really happy that the community has also evolved with the times.
Yes.
And it isn't stuck in this like neckbeard parents' basement.
Men are men, women are women.
Yeah, which is where it was when it started, because that's, where we were. And so there has been an evolution. There has been. And it's like things that have happened in the past would never happen now. And I really love that fact. It's definitely interesting.
It's a microcosm that could never be created again.
No.
Just because of how easy it is to talk to people these days. It was not easy to talk to people in the early 2000s.
It was just the forums, and you could be whoever you wanted.
Yeah, it was great.
So, like, the first Jordan Con, this kind of thing, were you part of, like, those big convention? Was that something that was, like, that was a result of something else before? Or did it came up to what it is today?
Jordan Con started its own little thing because I think Jennifer Liang wanted a convention.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And Jennifer Liang was one of the founders of Dragonmount and decided that Dragonmount wasn't quite like her thing, so she decided to just do JordanCon. And yeah, I remember hearing about the first one, and it's always been in Atlanta or in Georgia.
Yep, I'm bitter about that. It literally doesn't move, so it's like it's so easy for people East Coast, but like I'm West Coast, and it's a bitch to get there.
It's a 5.5-hour flight, and I'm annoyed every time.
Well, it's the time change.
The time change is bad.
So like it's like a full day of travel.
Yeah.
A night if you take your red eye.
Yeah, I take an overnight flight. I have a specific flight, and if they get rid of this flight, I will be so mad. Alaska Airlines, are you listening?
We've started going a day early just to or 2 days early. We get there Wednesday now.
Yeah, we get there Wednesday.
Yep.
Because I consider Thursday a day of the convention because
it's a lot of prep work. You're working for it. I'm working for it in a different way.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it started way back when, and I wasn't really a part of it. I went to JordanCon 5. That was my first JordanCon, and then I didn't go again until JordanCon 10.
I think you and I have the same thing. Like I went to either 5 or 6, and then I went to 10 because that was the Memory of Light.
Right. Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be the last one because it's the last book. This con's going to die. That was my mindset. Because I was like, what else are they going to do? Because it was originally just Wheel of Time before it evolved into a literary convention.
Yeah, it wasn't a science fiction fantasy. Because at that point, Brandon Sanderson had only released like Mistborn.
But I think the reason also continued is Dragon Con used to have a Wheel of Time track.
Yes.
And so a lot of people from there moved over to JordanCon because the Wheel of Time track ended with the book series.
Mm-hmm. And there's still plenty to talk about in the Wheel of Time books.
Oh yeah, there's over like 2,700 named characters.
Yeah. It's just, every year I figure out what people might want to talk about, and thankfully the show is out, so that's what people want to talk about.
I am so excited, you guys.
Me too.
For season 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll be a lot of fun.
Can you stop sharing your screen because that picture is nice, but
No, it's not. It's terrible.
Yeah.
That was an interesting timeline for me. I was starting to get really, really sick and I didn't know it. And that it's so weird seeing that's the other thing. I can do these timelines, but the tower is always there. So it's been this timeline with my life. It's more important than college was only 4 years or 8 years. I took a lot of time. But the tower is still, don't add another degree. The fact that the tower is still relevant enough that we're still talking about it, even though I post maybe once a year.
Right.
That's the interesting thing. Because I don't want to lose that connection because that connection was so important and integral to myself. Would I still have been a green? Yeah, I was a green before the tower. It is what it is. But I wear my Aes Sedai ring still every day. My wedding ring, whatever, I can get another one. But they don't make this one anymore. This is Badali, OG.
They do they started making them again.
Yeah, but they're the ones that I don't like. I have opinions.
They started making they call them Legacy.
Yeah, but they're the flattened with the sharp pointy scales. But I do want the ring from the show. I want the ring from the show, but I want it in silver because I don't do gold.
Okay.
I love a good piece of jewelry that can knock someone out.
You mean by ooh, that's stunning knockout, or punching them in the face and knocking them out?
Punch them in the face.
Both.
That's my preferred.
Okay. I'm glad that we know that you want to kill people.
I didn't say kill.
Didn't say kill.
All right. Do you have any last thoughts, Kat? Kitty? I'm sorry. My brain not here.
That's also why I went with Kataya for my name.
Yeah.
Because Cat I will answer to. With Kitty, it's close enough. My name is so dumb. I took cat eye. Like a cat eye.
Yeah.
Kataya. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I came up with Chiffon. I think I used a random name generator.
That sounds about right.
Did they have those back then?
They did.
Oh, yeah.
I used Pi. We just kept bouncing off. And then she's like, you need to add a random Y in your last name because Robert Jordan always adds random vowels and consonants. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Pi is in the books, too. She's a yellow, yeah.
She is. She won a, no, she's with the Browns, I think, in the books. She won a raffle.
Yeah, because you donated so much money and you got an entry to the raffle. And
yeah, she had an ex that did that, which is I'm grateful that he did that.
Only good thing he's ever done.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Was it a Tower X?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would have totally filled you in if it was.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh. All right. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Queers of Time podcast. Oh, wait, no. Kitty, how can people find you? Who are you? What do you do?
Hi. My name is Kitty. I am the Dark Ray of Sunshine on Instagram. I am an actor/host. I am also the face of Dragonmount, which makes me giggle, but it's also true. And I'm an ex-butcher. So let's put that out there.
Just in case anybody needs any bodies, chopped up.
Just meat. Just meat.
Okay. Very not concerning at all.
No. You have a decent amount of butcher paraphernalia around your apartment, from what I remember.
Oh my god, yes, I have a lot of knives.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Queers of Time podcast. If you liked our show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. You can also follow us on various social medias. Normally we would say Twitter, but who the fuck knows? We're Queers of Time everywhere, and also our Discord server. And if you are able to, we would love to have your support through Patreon. I'm going to say Patreon because I like Patreon because I'm Jafon. We've got lots of nice benefits there, and it help us cover cost. Money good for podcast.
Okay.
Money
Okey-dokey.
good for podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kitty.
Yes, thank you.
It was very nice.
I like you guys. I've seen you now twice in like a month.
Yeah. See you in 3 years.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.